Hi, I'm Mandy Pryor, and welcome to Spotlight on Pittsburgh. Spotlight on Pittsburgh is a program about Pittsburgh's most fascinating people and what they do to make Pittsburgh an amazing place to live and work. When we return, I'll introduce you to our first guest, Frank Sands of Sands Science. We'll see you after the break.
Our family was drifting apart until we found a connection.
You have the power to change your child's life. The Boys Town National Hotline can help.
Hi, Frank, and thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hi, Mandy. Thank you for the invite.
So what can you tell me? Can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
I'm a scientist. My background is both chemistry and physics, which is kind of interesting because they're a little opposing kind of technologies. It's still the same science, but chemistry deals with one area and physics is a very different area. So having the expertise of both lets me solve problems that might slip by other people. So in my business, I try to find solutions where people may not even know there's a problem, or they might be searching for the solution to a symptom of a problem. So what I'm good at is to get in and find out what the real problem is and solve it once and for all.
And so how long has Sands Science been in business?
Since 1993. Before that, I worked for corporate America. I had 14 years with one large international company and the other years with another international company. In 93, I decided to be self-employed and be a little more entrepreneurial and expand my science horizons. So I was doing primarily polymers work, so I developed polymers for the automotive industry that's on many vehicles today. The fascia materials in the front and rear that allow you to bump another vehicle up to 5 miles an hour and not crack and fall to pieces. And it's indistinguishable from the metal parts of the car. So I was very key in the development of a lot of those products.
And speaking of entrepreneurial, weren't you featured on the Wall Street Journal?
I have. I was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal for nuclear fusion. I do research and mentor young people that usually go on to be physicists or engineers in the nuclear area. So yes, I have a little nuclear fusion, not fission reactor, that I do some of my research on, and I was featured on a Wall Street Journal. But I've been quoted in everything from Wired to the Washington Post, quite a few large publications, and I've been published in scientific journals. So.
And you do some product development as well. Right?
I do. My clients today, I think of it as reverse consulting. That is, I find a deficiency or a need someplace, and I do all the background work and develop everything, then approach a potential client, sign a non-disclosure agreement, and hand off the technology to them, and quite often it gets implemented. So.
And so is there anything that in our day-to-day lives we would see that you've worked on?
One of my patents, I have quite a few patents, is with musical instruments, specifically acoustic guitars. Somewhere in middle age, I decided to learn acoustic guitar. I had played musical instruments, but no stringed instruments. And the first thing I noticed was there's two identical guitars on the wall, not inexpensive guitars, exact same model, but they sounded totally different. And as a scientist, that's unacceptable to me.
That was probably like a whole thing. You
Right.
had to take it home and figure it out.
So I've developed a process that many musicians that you would know and many recordings that are out there send me their acoustic guitars. There's a pretty good waiting list. I do this process on them that make them essentially bring out all that these instruments would ever bring out in 30 or 40 years and return it back to them 2 weeks later with an aged instrument that is just ethereal in sound. It's full, it sustains, and it's now on some recordings that you might be hearing.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I did 9 weeks at a adult community class for guitar.
Ah.
A very old guitar, hand-me-down, but
Then you know how special the more aged guitars are.
that's what I've heard. So that's very interesting. And so You do also some work in energy that people frequent.
I do. I'm the first electric solar house in the 90s in southwestern Pennsylvania. The power company, Duquesne Light, didn't even know how I should do the intertie. I had to do all of the design of the components I purchased, but to put them together and to actually have a solar power house. I think I'm #1 in southwestern Pennsylvania. So I get 100% of my electricity for my house from the sun. My cell phone is charged from it. All lights, all computer access, and everything else that goes on is solar. So solar does work in southwestern Pennsylvania. People would say,
even with all the rain and the gray skies?
Solar works on light, not necessarily sunlight. So on a day that it's cloudy, admittedly you don't have the light that you would have on a bright sunny day, but there's still 2/3 of that amount of light coming through the clouds, and it's enough to sustain. I get money back each year. I get a check for between $100 and $150
green energy,
of excess energy that I've produced for my neighbors from my solar panels, especially during the peak times of need, summertime, at noon, when the sun is highest in the sky and the air conditioners are running the hardest. That's the time that I'm producing the most.
And would you say you've saved money because of installing?
Absolutely, absolutely. Since the 90s, that system has paid for itself. It's more than paid for itself, and for the rest of my life, I won't have an electric bill.
Well, I know a lot of people hesitate because it's a little more expensive to install, but then, you do recoup.
If you plan on moving in 3 to 5 years, it probably doesn't make sense for you. But if you're thinking the environment, if you put it in, that benefit will go with any people that will purchase that property afterwards, and that environmental impact positive environmental impact will be there for 50 years. So it's a good choice.
And so with all the solar, I had once lived in Florida, which is very sunny and very solar in comparison, I think, with Western Pennsylvania. I think it's
not as much as you might think.
It's up and coming, or it's more prevalent now than it is?
The weather, as far as the amount of sun that reaches the ground in Florida versus Pittsburgh, is actually not quite as different as you might think. Solar panels also don't perform as well when they're very hot, so even though Florida may have a little more sun, the higher temperature means they're not quite as efficient.
So those really hot summer days is probably not so efficient.
And one of the other things, which I know your next guest, Adam, has electric bikes, and this is very important for energy, because we're all looking for the government or someone to solve the energy equation. Well, we have this bucket, and we keep pouring water in, and we're saying we need more energy, we need more energy. The problem is there's no bottom to the bucket. Okay, we don't really throttle back our energy usage. And I think as a society, we need to be more cognizant of the debris that we're throwing out in trash each week, plastic bottles, things that really are not good for the environment. Everyone can make a difference.
And what about recycling? I've heard both sides of the spectrum saying that it's almost as much energy to recycle as it is to not recycle.
The point is, you do not want any of the plastic bottles to make it to the environment because they're contaminating wildlife.
Absolutely.
So the idea of gathering it back up and not landfilling it, either reusing or incinerating, makes sense. The only product that really, really makes sense to recycle is aluminum cans. That's something that is really a clear winner. So aluminum cans, recycle at all costs. The rest of it, try to use less. Don't use recycle, try to just not have as much.
And so are there any resources that you think that people could utilize to learn more about this? Sometimes people just don't know where to look, and they've heard things that they should learn, and they just haven't.
My website, sandscience.com, talks about like traffic flow, like why do we have so many traffic lights? The traffic light system was the same that we had in the 50s, when we had literally 1/5 the number of vehicles. So today, when a car comes to the side street, it's not a 1-for-1. You have 30 cars that have to stop to let one car out of a side street. So you want the traffic to start flowing and continue to flow and not stop at a traffic light. And for example, from the West Liberty tunnels to South Hills Village, there are 31 traffic lights, 31 in that 5.5 miles. What should be a 9-minute travel time trip is 25 minutes, not even in rush hour. So there's plenty of solutions if we look. So I invite people to come to my website
and you
or
also
send me
do
emails.
community outreach and education?
I do. I talk at various schools on what people can do for the energy. I attend public meetings, traffic meetings to try to improve traffic flow. So I am involved in the community in those. And I'm willing, if somebody has a good cause, I donate my time to try to help those causes of education, environment, and energy.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're going
Thanks
to
for
bring
having
you
me.
back out with Adam in a little bit.
Great. Thanks for the invite. Thank you.
You. To learn more about sand science and energy specialists, please visit sandscience.com. After this short break, we'll bring back Adam Rossi from Adam's Solar Rides.
Sometimes it's hard to see where you're going, but you have the power to change your problems. All it takes is courage. YourLifeYourVoice.org.
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Sure. So what can you tell me about Adam's Solar Rides?
Sure. So Adams Solar Rides is a electric bike shop first and foremost, but we also specialize in a lot of electric vehicles, electric toys, boards. We carry all kinds of electric skateboards, the one wheel, the golf board, and it sort of came out of our solar company, Adams Solar Resources, where had to just making all this solar energy, and in addition to just powering your house, realized can power a lot of vehicles too.
Well, how did you get into solar energy?
Actually, it was my dad's cousin, who's an artist, really wanted solar. My dad was an electrical contractor, so we actually started doing solar thermal installations where we heated water. We actually heated his whole studio with hot water made from the sun, and then had graduated to solar PV panels where we install those to make electricity for homes. Actually, on my way in the studio, I saw one of our bigger installs about 10 years ago. Up on the hill across from the high school here. It was pretty neat.
So you've made your way into Peters Township.
Yep, into Peters, and I remember building it thinking, someday I'll be married and have kids, and my kid might go to that high school and see this array and say, my dad built that 20 years ago.
He's going to be the cool kid now.
And I just found out he'll be going to PV this year, which is the smaller school behind, so he'll be looking out at the array and say, my daddy built that. So
that's great. So what's your biggest interest in solar energy?
Just that you can provide all of your own clean energy. I mean, people are just used to always having to be paying for their electricity from someone else that's made somewhere else, maybe not in an environmentally friendly way. And now you have the power to put solar panels on your roof and provide all of your own clean energy for your home, for your transportation needs.
We definitely learned, my husband and I have at least 40 lights in our living room that were not even LED. I mean, it was just horrible. We never turned them on. So it'd be nice if they were solar powered.
Yeah, and that's the thing with like LEDs now. You can power so much more with the solar, where the efficiency of the panels has just gone up and up. I mean, when I started, I was putting in 100-some watt panels, and it's not going to be long before we're cracking 400-watt panels here. There's 300+ watt panels.
So there's a good mix between the solar and the LEDs that it's like.
And it's the LEDs using a tenth as much power as an incandescent bulb. So one or two solar panels would be enough to power the LEDs in a home.
Now, can you tell me? I don't know if I should ask this, but can you tell me how much a solar panel would run? I mean, I'm sure there's tons of different sizes available, but maybe
price-wise or energy, just in general?
I guess.
So the old
for an average home,
yeah,
I guess.
The old ballpark I always like to use is it's $1,000 a panel installed. You want 20 panels, it's $20,000. Since then, it's actually come down more and more. I mean, from when we first started to now, the price of solar has come down a lot. And in most cases, I'd say 20 solar panels is enough to run your average home. So basically, as long as you got enough exposure, cover your roof in solar panels, you won't have an electric bill anymore. The power company actually will have to pay you every year, like Frank's been doing for 20 or 30 years now.
That's nice. That would be a nice day if they were paying for my electricity. So
absolutely.
So back to your electric bikes. You actually
Sure.
tour or you can go on a tour in Pittsburgh.
Right. So we have two locations. Our Bridgeville shop is mostly just sales and service, and you can do test rides there. But we opened a second shop this past year in Station Square in downtown Pittsburgh, and we offer tours of the whole city. So you can come down with up to 10 of your friends and family. We take you out for either, between a 2 to 4 hour tour all around the city of Pittsburgh, and you don't got to worry about getting tired. You got the assist.
How does it work? Like, what is an electric bike for people who probably have been pedaling their whole lives?
Right, so that's why I brought one here sort of to give an idea, because people, the hardest thing is until you ride it, you really just don't get that sensation. So there's a lithium-ion battery that provides assist to a motor. So on most of the bikes, you're still pedaling the bike, and it's a pedal assist that you can control the level of how much help you want. So you put it on 1 or 2, it's going to feel like there's a light wind at your back, or that small grade feels flat. You crank it up all the way. Can ride from town up to Mount Washington, and it'll feel like you're pedaling on flat ground. And it's very efficient. These are almost 3,000 mile per gallon equivalent vehicles. It's one of the most efficient ways to get around, especially if you use a solar panel to charge it.
And you have a shop in Station Square, correct?
Correct. So that's our tour shop, as we refer to it. We do tours and rentals out of there too. So we've had a lot of people this year come to ride the Gap Trail. You can go from the point in downtown Pittsburgh all the way to Washington, D.C. on the Great Allegheny Passage Trail.
See, we're just so connected to D.C. How long does that take?
We work with another outfit called Bike the Gap, and they help set up how long you want to ride for, and they set up all your Airbnb or your bread and breakfast stays. So, most people, I'd say, take 7, 8, 9 days.
I was going to ask if you had to, be in a tent overnight.
No. I mean, you can camp the whole way, but I'd say most of the people that rent our bikes are doing it all first class, enjoying the trip. And how many people came from across the country? I mean, I thought it'd be local. People are flying from California to ride an e-bike down the Gap Trail. And it's older folks that normally couldn't. So I have, 75, 77-year-olds that they're doing a 300-mile bike ride because they have the assist.
Hear that, all you silver sneakers and silver and fit out there? You can ride your e-bike all up Mount Washington or to Washington. So the store itself, so you can purchase these in the store?
Yeah, so we have a full line of, or actually 5 different lines. We carry Bulls e-bikes, which is what we have here, iZip electric, Raleigh electric, BH Easy Motion, and High Bike. So we've about, probably access to well over 100 models, and normally keep about 50 to test ride and choose from in the shop.
And you also sell other stuff, not just the bikes.
Yeah, one of my favorite inventions that's come out of late is called the One Wheel. So it's just, I should have brought one of those too. It's just one big wheel on a board that's electric, and you can ride it. It feels like you're snowboarding wherever you want to go.
I think I saw that. Doesn't it look like, what are those toys from the 80s? They had a
pogo bouncy ball.
Yeah, there was
thing.
like a ball. You had to grip it with your feet.
Yeah, it's like that on steroids. I mean, they go 20 miles an hour. They just came out with a new model, the XR, that goes 18 miles on one charge. And there's people in cities that they're ditching their car for these personal electric transporters. You don't got to pay to park. You don't have to sit in traffic.
That's a big thing, parking. I mean, that's very costly, especially in the cities. So
yeah, I mean that's the thing with the e-bike. You can enjoy your commute, ride along the river trails, free parking wherever you are, and then whenever you're leaving, everyone's sitting at the Fort Pitt Tunnel, and you're just riding on your way home. And they're just continuously expanding the infrastructure too, that you can ride all around downtown safely.
And so, what's the best way to, I guess, get started?
Stop over the shop and take a test ride. I mean, we got a beautiful backcountry road that we can, with a nice big hill, and that's where the aha moment for everyone is they look at this hill and it's like, no, just hit the plus button, and they start pedaling up the hill, and you're still getting the workout. So it goes
straight from Station Square, like right up the hill. Is that how you? I don't know where it goes.
Oh, from the Station Square tour, we go all around the city. So I mean, from the Point, we stop at the North Shore. We go to Hers Island sometimes and stop on the island. So yeah, and the people that come and see our city, it's so beautiful riding along all the river trails.
And is it more walk-in, or do you book ahead? Like, is it more?
On our website, so at adamsolarrides.com, you can pull up, you can see all the tours we offer. And I've been, on some of these nice, 77 degrees a couple of days ago. I'll throw a tour up when I see the weather's nice in the off season. But normally once spring hits is when we really start to get busy.
Good. And so, you were in solar energy, so what made you get into electric then? Electric bikes.
So I was trying to be more efficient. This is before I drove electric cars. I was like, I don't want to burn gas every day. Let me try to ride a bike to work. And I didn't last at doing it. I was like, let me try an electric bike. And as soon as day 2 of riding the electric bike to work, I said, this is the business I want to be in. This is fun. And it's going to take off. I mean, just every year our sales grow. More and more people are finding that, it gets them out, it gets them healthy. And it allows them to just ride farther and explore more.
Well, I think people think of it as the tours, but they never really thought of it as like, oh, I ride my bike. I mean, I have people in my family, they ride their bike into Pittsburgh every day. And
Yeah,
with the new bike lanes and all of that, that would be a great addition.
and you can show up to work, you're not sweaty.
I used to park downtown, so I mean, it still makes me cringe to like how much I spend on just parking in a garage.
Yeah, I mean, some of our bikes now start in the low teens, so I mean, it's a couple months of your parking bill and your bike's been paid for.
So is there anything else that you can tell me about the business, or that people should learn about you and what you've done, or what you're going to continue to do?
Another interesting, we just started selling to the local police departments. So here in Peters, they just got a fleet of the electric bikes, so it's been really good for community policing, for the officers to get out in the community, and then they don't have to get tired when they're out there riding. They got the assist.
And how fast do the bikes go?
So 20 miles an hour on almost all of them. Some are considered a speed pedelec, which will go up to 28 miles an hour. And actually, I helped get legislation passed for Pennsylvania back in 2014, HR 154, which classifies the definition of an electric bicycle as a bicycle. So it's legal as a bicycle to ride anywhere. You don't need a license, you don't need insurance, no registration. Because I mean, some of the bikes do have throttles too, where if you can't pedal for some reason or don't want to, you can also twist the throttle to go. We have a lot of people with medical issues that will get our bikes, or who can't get a driver's license for some reason will use an e-bike to get around.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to have you back here in just a second. We're going to take a quick break.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Adam, for joining us today. Find out more about Adam's Solar Rides by visiting his website at adamsolarrides.com. When we come back from break, I'll have a quick interview with both of our guests today and our solar-minded energy guests. Thanks.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented, mostly by making changes in your diet, controlling your weight, and of course, by not smoking. Visit prevent50.org and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, and more.
And welcome back. Thanks for both of you for coming on today. So Adam, how do you and Frank know each other?
So a while back, I was having lunch at a restaurant, and the guy there was hearing about me getting into this solar thing. It's like, you need to meet my buddy Frank Sands. And it stuck with me when he said that, like it was important. And then our paths ended up crossing, and was like, I was told I was supposed to meet you. And fast forward, I helped Frank get more solar installs. I mean, he had done some of the first ones on his own, but we put some panels on his house. And built some pretty neat systems for him over the years.
It was a second house, so I actually have solar on two houses. My first house that I did, and then then Adam installed them on my present house.
Wonderful. And so you both kind of have this like-minded, solar efficient hope for the world, I guess. Is there anything that you would like to tell our audience out there about solar energy that we didn't touch on so far?
I would just start with efficiency. That just being efficient, be mindful of what you're using, and how much garbage you're taking in the trash every day. Like Frank was saying, how many bottles you're throwing that's going to a landfill. Ever since I became a dad, and I have two young boys now, all the things with sustainability really are hitting home with me, and just the fun factor of it too. It's fun to have solar panels on your roof that are charging your electric car, that doesn't need any maintenance and goes super fast, and there's a cool factor along with the responsibility for the planet factor.
I agree with that. When I put my panels in, it's like, how fast can I spin the meter backwards? And early on, they didn't even have a strategy to deal with solar. So I called the Duquesne Light Company and was trying to explain that there's a problem because I'm not getting credit. And I says, I'm spinning my meter backwards. And the lady that was answering is like, that's fraud. I need to send you to the fraud. Would you tell me again that you're spinning your meter backwards? It's like, yes, but I'm not stealing energy. I'm putting energy back in. So it was like,
wait, you're giving us energy.
It literally was four or 5 years later, I was contacted by a supervisor that says, Mr. Sands, we understand your solar. Each month I'm signing a fraud report because we know you're not stealing electricity, but we didn't know how to handle you in our system. This is true. This was coming out of the 90s.
That's incredible.
So he asked to come out and look at the system and to talk to me, and everything got on board, and I have the proper meter. I'm getting the proper credits, and we moved forward. So yeah, early days of solar in Pittsburgh is
Well, what do you both think the easiest, simplest adjustments that that a family can make on a daily basis?
If you want to see where your money's going, look how many trash cans you have out each week, how much recycle and how much trash. You've paid money for that product to be produced, transported to your house. You then consumed it and discarded it. That's a huge load for greenhouse gases, a huge load for consuming natural resources, and now you're going to landfill it. Have you seen what landfills look like?
Oh, they're awful.
That's
are
what
the
you're
worst
producing.
things.
When you look at your garbage cans, that's what you should be thinking. How
I was
much money
going to
and
touch
how
base
much?
on that, you know, because I did live in Florida. I drove past them. I mean, they're just mountains of garbage. I mean, the whole area, there's crows, and it's horrible.
I've seen
It's
signs
horrible.
they put on some of the garbage cans that says landfill 10 miles that way next to a recycling bin, just to change people's mindset of even just throwing it always in the garbage of you're just shuttling it down the street from yourself.
Right, right.
I know we've kind of banished water or bottled water from the house. Like we never use bottled
Fantastic.
water. So
Fantastic.
I think that's a big at least
It's
one
huge.
step.
It's
you know,
huge.
And collectively, when everyone does it, that's what it is. That you think, oh, it's just one person, but as every person starts to get that mindset, it adds up exponentially very quickly.
And everyone's pointing at big business and the government that wants regulations. But my question to them is, what they are? Who is the customer that is that is creating that need? And we are. It's all of us. So if we want to change the environment, if we want to change energy and greenhouse gases and everything, we're the consumers. So if we want it to change, we need to change. We can't just look for a fancy regulation, or the lights would go off. So it's us. It's us.
Well, both of you, I hope at least there was a little impact today on some of our viewers out there to maybe just think about what they're putting back into the earth. But thank you both so much for being on.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll have you on again someday too.
Be happy to. Enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot. Thank you once again for watching Spotlight on Pittsburgh. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at spotlightonpittsburgh.com and join us next time when we shine the spotlight on 2 new guests.